We've been getting a lot of questions about certain aspects of our hike, and so I thought we would make a frequently asked questions video to answer some of those. One of them is, do you let the girls hike alone? We do. The AT is so straightforward. It's so simple. This is the trail behind me. Let me see. There it is. There is really only one way to go. You can't really get lost on the AT. The girls have to stop at every trail crossing, but they can go ahead of us. In the morning, the order is usually Amelia and I walking together and Charlotte and Matthew walking together. But in the afternoon, when we let the girls listen to audiobooks, it's Amelia and Charlotte at the beginning, and then me, and then Matthew. If I'm having a rough day in the afternoon, if my knee is hurting, if I'm feeling pretty tired, if I have to make a pit stop in the woods, then I'll be in the back. I'm in the back right now because I've been shooting a couple videos, and so I'm in the back right now. At some point, my family will probably be sitting on a rock and waiting for me. The girls will do that as well. They'll sit on a rock and wait if they're in the lead, and then they'll wait for us. But we let the girls walk. We let them walk by themselves. We let them go because it's such a safe trail, and people are so excited that they're out here that they would defend them and help them if anything should happen. We have a whistle on our backpacks so the girls know to blow the whistle if they're in trouble, if they get lost, and we will come and find them for them to stay put, and we will come and find them. So yes, we do let the girls hike on their own. I just turned the corner. Here they are waiting for me because I was a little bit behind. And now we move on together. So we just came to a blue blaze to the Mosby campground. And then the AT here, you can see the blaze to the other shelter. So this is where we're going. So Amelia and I stopped to make sure that Charlotte and Matthew knew which way we were going so that we could all get onto the same page and make sure nobody gets lost. Well, we are sitting with our dinner cooking here at the campsite, and Charlotte and I wanted to answer another question that we get asked. And a lot of times we get asked, what in the world are those things on your shoes? All right, so what are they?
So the things on our shoes are called gators. They keep out the dirts and the sticks and the leaves and all the stuff that can get in our shoes.
And what it means is that our socks stay clean, we don't get poked. And Charlotte's shoes, and we'll show you in a minute, actually have a gator trap. They have Velcro built into her shoes because she wears trail runners that hold in her gators. Matthew and Amelia and I wear boots, and I think they think that with boots this stuff will stay out on its own, but it doesn't. Both Amelia and I have forgotten gators even for short hikes, and we have pine needles and sticks and rocks, and it's very uncomfortable. So we wear them to keep the junk out of our shoes, and they work.
Yes, they do.
They work very, very well. Okay, so here's Charlotte's shoe. Charlotte actually has, and it actually says on there, not on this one, on the other one, it's a gator trap. And so she can put her Velcro right in to there. And then the top, she also has this fancy little metal loop that her gator hooks right on. And that keeps it Velcroed. On the other hand, I have Velcro that I've put on my shoes, and my gators have holes in them, and then I just clip my loop to my shoelace, but it keeps them on. I'm getting holes. You can tell that I kick my feet when I walk, but keeps our feet clean and junk out of our shoes.
Yep.
Okay, so I am sweating through everything that I own right now, and realized another question that someone asked us is how long do you wear the same clothes? So I will say that the answer is most days we're wearing the same clothes. Especially Charlotte, she wears the exact same outfit every day, but she sweats a lot less than us. Matthew and I both have 2 shirts, but I'll say that we really save that second shirt in case something happens to our first shirt. I have 1 pair of shorts. The girls have 2 pairs of shorts. Amelia's the only one that wears 2. And Matthew has a pair of pants and a pair of shorts, but we're wearing the same clothes almost every day. That's true for most through hikers. I think we start with more clothes, most hikers, and then realize it's an easy thing to ditch. We do have sleep clothes. I have a real lightweight pair of shorts and a t-shirt. The girls have t-shirts. Matthew has a t-shirt, and so we do have some sleep clothes. We have our kind of 1 pair of shorts, 1 pair of pants, 2 shirts. We have 2 pairs of socks, 2 to 3 pairs of underwear, depending on who it is, which of our family members. 2 have 2 pair, 2 have 3, and but we're mostly wearing the same clothes every single day. They get really smelly. I'm sitting in the Mount Vernon Pavilion at the Washington Monument State Park in Maryland. We're gonna go up and see the Washington Monument in a minute, but the rest of the family is checking out the visitor center. Another question that we got that I thought I could give an answer to is schoolwork for the girls and what they're listening to when you see them in pictures with their earbuds in. We honestly thought we'd be doing a lot more schoolwork when we came out here. We started with a tablet that had a keyboard, and that first the keyboard went home, then the tablet went home. The girls do have math apps. Amelia has a Spanish app on their phones. Amelia's is a real phone. Charlotte's is one of my old phones with no service. So they use those when we're in town. I'll say most of the learning is just experiential learning out here. We talk about geology, about biology, when we see a new animal or a butterfly, a flower, a tree. When we have service, we look it up and we read about it. We read every historical sign. We've talked a lot about the Civil War, the Underground Railroad, industrialization of the United States, different things like that. So it's a lot of experiential learning out here. But then when they do have their earbuds in the afternoon, it's kind of a combination of a few things. They've been listening to fun books. They've listened to some fantasy. They both really, really like fantasy books. And so they've been listening to some of that, but also nonfiction. They've listened to Notorious RBG, the children's version. They've listened to Undefeated, which is about Indigenous Americans and Jim Thorpe and football and the treatment of Indigenous Americans. They have listened to books about Vietnam, about World War II, the war that saved me and the war I finally won. So they're listening to some nonfiction, some historic fiction, and then just some things for fun. We only let them listen in the afternoon so that in the morning they're looking around, talking to us, talking to each other. They do a lot of imagining. At the beginning, their ideal birthday parties. They came up with a restaurant called McChunk, which is a response to if McDonald's ran out of beef and everything had to be made out of chipmunks. So that was a fun thing that went through many days. They've written songs and just talk with us, talk to each other, ask a lot of questions. So when they've been doing their historic fiction, or their nonfiction, we've talked a lot with them on breaks about things they're learning, questions they have, or just learnings that they've had. We thought we'd be doing more specific schooling, but it's really, really worked well, and they've learned a lot. And because they're listening to it together, they have a lot of really great conversations about what they've been listening to. We've had a few people ask about how many other people we see on the trail and how often we are hiking with other people. I will say that it really is just the 4 of us hiking together during the day in a line, probably stretching about 5-6 minutes apart during the day. We hike very rarely with people. We're either a little bit slower or a little bit faster, though that doesn't happen very much, than most people. So the time we spend with people are mostly at breaks, especially if we stop at a shelter, at campsites at night. Okay, another question that I've been asked is, what are your luxury items? It's really funny to ask that question after 3.5 months, because I will say right now we have very, very few luxury items left, because they tend to be things that you ditch pretty early. I think I spend a lot of days, especially the first days out of town when our food bags are so heavy, thinking about what else can I ditch? What is something that weighs even more than half an ounce that I can get rid of out of this bag to take weight off my shoulders? So we started, Charlotte and I had chairs, little roll-up chairs. They were about 11, 14 ounces. Those went home. Extra clothing went home. So I would say probably mine is a tripod. I have a lightweight tripod that the family makes fun of me for all the time. The girls have a few stuffed animals, squishmallows and things like that that they have in their fanny packs or in their backpacks, and those are probably luxury items. I'm not sure Matthew's carrying any luxury items anymore at this point. The girls carry their rocket books that they do some schoolwork with. It's an erasable notebook. Amelia also uses it to collect signatures of hikers that we spend time with, and that's always really fun and special. So they are carrying those, but I will say most luxury items have been shipped home long ago. Another question that we get is about the realities of going to the bathroom in the woods, right? So it is probably one of our least favorite things to do, and that's why we try to wait if we can get to a privy. Like I said in another video, we call it our poopertunity. Anytime you can get to a privy, if you can get to a porta potty, if you can get to a bathroom, that's ideal. But most days, that doesn't really work. So we carry some supplies with us. So why don't you hold up the bag?
So this is the bag of supplies. And then, so we have toilet paper. We have a trowel
Okay,
to
so,
dig a hole.
and what are the holes called?
They're called cat holes, and you have to dig them 6 to 8 inches.
And these are only 0.6 ounces, and they are called the deuce of the deuce of spades, I think is what they're called. But very, very lightweight. We have a green one and a blue one.
And then you have to use hand sanitizer after.
Yes, and then should you need to pick up anything else, like for women, or if you need to use a wipe, or if I have some feminine products, I have these bags. They're called MACK bags. They're really, really smart. I bought them when we hiked on the Camino, Matthew and I, and you actually put your hands in this little bag, kind of like a puppet, and you can pick things up, like if you needed to use a wipe, or if you have anything else that you can't bury in the cat hole, and then you just turn it inside out like a little bag and you seal it. And then I have a special bag that's only for them that we throw away in our next town. So these are the supplies. So when we dig a cat hole, we dig it how deep?
We dig it 6 to 8 inches.
6 to 8 inches deep. And do you remember how far off the trail we go?
70 big steps.
So about 200 yards, 70 big steps, and you bury everything that you have in the cat hole. You can, and leave no trace, you can bury your toilet paper because we're not above tree line or in alpine. But that is how we go to the bathroom in the woods. It's not super fun, but it works.
Yep.
And then if we have to pee, that's the other thing, is we have these little claws called cooler claws. You want to run and grab your cooler claws?
Sure.
So obviously they're only good for women. Matthew obviously doesn't need one, but you will see in some of our pictures that we post or in some of our videos that we have them hanging off of our hip packs, and so we each have one that we can use, and so the girls and I use them. So there are these cute little claws, and on the other side, and they're supposed to be infused with silver so that they don't get super smelly, but I'm not really sure how true that is. But they snap. There's a little loop that they snap, and then we snap them up like this, and we hang them on our hip packs or on our backpacks, and you'll see most women who are long distance hikers have one on their pack. So that is how we go to the bathroom in the woods.
Yep.
Another question that we've been asked is how we deal with blisters. We have been pretty lucky. We haven't had too many blisters. There was a time Amelia put her shoes on back when she had her first pair of shoes, and her feet were still wet from cooling her feet in a creek, and she wound up with blisters all over her feet, her toes and the soles of her feet and her heels, and it was really, really bad. But we have been pretty lucky. We've had a few heel blisters, a few toe blisters, but very, very few. I'm going to show you what I have on my feet currently, and then the supplies that we use to deal with blisters. So right now on my feet, I have some pieces of Leukotape. I have one on my heel, and then I have these here for rubbing. Leukotape is this really, really sticky, very, very sticky tape that lasts for a long time. And if you get a hot spot, you feel that rubbing, you really need to stop, which we don't always do, and put on Leukotape, because it'll create a really, really fast bond. It lasts through showers, and it will really, really help to keep a hot spot from becoming a blister. But if it becomes a blister, these are the supplies that we have used during our through hike. So the Leukotape was actually something that we found when we were in Virginia. So before that, we were using a cleaning both the pin and the blister with an alcohol swab and popping it. Matthew took a first aid class with REI, and they did suggest popping the blisters to make them flat. Then using second skin. This is like what ballerinas use on their toes, burns, and it's sticky, and we would put that on as a cushion. These are sticky. And then we would use these KT blister strips. These come off really easily. They come off if your feet get wet or if you get a lot of rubbing. So the Leukotape has been much better than these, but we've gone through several rolls of these. And so that's how we treat a lot of our blisters. But then we also have these. These are called Compedes. Matthew and I started buying these when we walked the Camino, and I had terrible blister problems until I found out that Ultra Lone Peak shoes work really well for me. But these are a different kind. They're called like hydrocolloid. I don't know how you say it. These bandages actually form to the blister. They create kind of like a white seal, and then they stay on, and they stay on till they fall off. It could be more than a week. And so we have used these also when we get blisters. These are for heels. There's these smaller strips, and then there's ones that are more for toes. And these are really, really great because it's a really good cushion, and because they kind of form around the blister, they provide a lot of great cushioning. So these are all the supplies we've used, but lately we've really only been using the Leukotape and the Compedes to deal with hot spots and to deal with band-aids, but we do carry these supplies in case the blisters are worse.